Let's look at why we resist life from another angle. We shall call this the clinging angle. Because we tend to cling onto certain aspects of life. In other words, when we are resisting, we are actually clinging onto something. We are resisting that which will change us away from what we are clinging to. Once again, Michael Singer expresses it succinctly in his book The Untethered Soul, and so we read some passages from his book together. I highly encourage you to read his book so you can get his full flow. Also, be aware that in some places, I paraphrase as I read so as to clarify some of the points. When you cling, you're attempting to hold on to the thoughts and emotions that are passing before you. You use them to build a personality, a persona, a self-concept that would allow you to define yourself. Because you have this model of who you are, it is easier to know how to act, how to make decisions, and how to relate to the outside world. If you dare to look, you will see that you live your entire life based on the model that you built around yourself. Yet, you who are holding on to that model are neither male nor female even. You attempt to create a sense of stability and steadiness inside. This generates a false but welcomed sense of security. You also want the people around you to have done the same thing. You want people to be steady enough so that you can predict their behavior. If they aren't, it disturbs you. This is because you have made your predictions of their behavior part of your inner model. In most societies, you are well rewarded for how good you are at clinging and building that sense of self. If you get that model down absolutely right and behave consistently every time, you have actually created someone. And if that someone you create is what others want and need, you can be very popular and successful. You are that person. It got ingrained in you at a very young age, and you never deviated from it. You can get really good at this game of creating someone. It's important to realize that it's not just up to you what thoughts you cling to and what person you create. Society has a lot to say about this. There are acceptable and unacceptable social behaviors for almost everything. How to sit, how to walk, how to speak, how to dress, and how to feel about things, how to think about things. How does our society ingrain these mental and emotional structures within us? When you do it well, you are rewarded with hugs and showered with positive accolades. When you don't do it well, you are punished, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. Just think about how nice you are to people when they behave in accordance with your expectations. Now, think about how you close up and pull back from them when they don't. This is not to mention getting angry or even violent towards them. What are you doing? You are trying to change someone's behavior by leaving impressions in their mind. You are attempting to alter their collection of beliefs, thoughts, and emotions so that the next time they act, it is in the manner that you expect. In truth, we are all doing this to each other every day. Control. If you stop clinging, you will see why the tendency to cling was there. If you let go of your facade and don't try to trade it in for a new one, your thoughts and emotions will become unanchored and begin passing through you. It will be a very scary experience at first. You will feel panic deep inside and you will be unable to get your bearings. This is what people feel when something very important outside does not fit their inner model. The facade ceases to work and begins to crumble. When it can no longer protect you, you experience great fear and panic. However, you'll find that if you're willing to face that sense of panic, there is a way to go past it. You can go farther back into the consciousness that is experiencing it, and the panic will stop. Then there will be a great peace, like nothing you've ever felt before. That's the part that very few people come to know, that it can stop. The noise, the fear, the confusion, the constant changing of these inner energies, it can all stop. You just have to take the risk of letting it all go and daring to face the fear that was driving you. Then you can pass through that part of you and it will be all over. It will stop. No more struggling, just peace. This journey is one of passing through exactly where you have been struggling not to go. As you pass through that state of turmoil, the consciousness itself is your only repose. You will just be aware that tremendous changes are taking place. You will be aware that there is no solidity, and you will become comfortable with that eventually. You will be aware that each moment of each day is unfolding, and you neither have control nor crave it. You have no concepts, no hopes, no dreams, no beliefs, no security. You're no longer building mental models of what's going on, but life is going on anyways. You are perfectly comfortable just being aware of it. Here comes this moment, then the next moment, then the next. But that's really what has always happened anyways. Moment after moment has been passing before your consciousness. The difference is that now you see it happening. You see that your emotions and your mind are reacting to these moments that are coming through you, and you're doing nothing to stop it this time. You're doing nothing to control it this time. You're just letting life unfold, both outside and inside of you. You take this journey, you will get to the state in which you see exactly how the unfolding moments bring up a sense of fear. From this place of clarity, you will be able to experience the powerful tendency to protect yourself. This tendency exists because you truly have no control, and that is not comfortable to you. But if you really want to break through, you have to be willing to just watch the fear without protecting yourself from it. You must be willing to see that this need to protect yourself is where the entire personality comes from. It was created by building a mental and emotional structure to get away from that sense of fear. You are now standing face to face with the root of the psyche. If you go deep enough, you can watch the psyche being built. You will see that you are in the middle of nowhere, in empty, infinite space, and all these inner objects are flowing towards you. Thoughts, feelings, and the impressions of worldly experiences are all pouring into your consciousness. You will clearly see that the tendency is to protect yourself from this flow by bringing it under your control, or at least attempting to. There is an overwhelmingly strong tendency to lean forward and grab onto selective impressions of people, places, and things as they flow through. You will see that if you focus on these mental images, they become part of a complex structure where there was none before. You will see events that took place when you were 10 years old that you're still holding on to. You will see that you're literally taking all these memories, pulling them together in an orderly fashion, and saying that's who you are. But you're not the events. You're the one who experienced the events. How can you define yourself as the things that happened to you? You are aware of your existence before they even happened. You are the one who is in there doing all this, seeing all this, experiencing all this. The events that happen in the moment belong to that moment only. They don't belong to you. They have nothing to do with you. You must stop defining yourself in relation to them and just let them come and go. Now, some events anger you or downright scare you. What is happening in such a case? What is happening is that an event in the universe didn't match your model, and it's causing disturbance inside of you. If you will simply notice this, you will find that it is actually breaking up your model. You'll get to the point where you like this because you don't want to keep your model anymore. You'll define this as good because you're no longer willing to put any energy into building and solidifying your facade. Instead, you will actually permit the things that disturb your model to act as the dynamite to break it up and free you. This is what it means to live spiritually. If anything can cause disturbance inside of you, it means it hit your model. It means it hit the false part of you that you built in order to control your own definition of reality. You must learn to be comfortable with psychological disturbance. If your mind becomes hyperactive, just watch it. If your heart starts to heat up, let it go through what it must go through. Try to find the part of you that is capable of noticing that your mind is hyperactive and that your heart is heating up. That part is your way out. There is no way out through building this model of yours. The only way to inner freedom is through the one who watches, the self. I'll say that again. The only way to inner freedom is through the one who watches, the true self. The true self simply notices that the mind and emotions are unraveling and that nothing is struggling to hold them together. Of course, this will be painful initially. The reason you built the whole mental structure was to avoid pain. If you let it fall apart, you're going to feel the pain that you were avoiding when you built it. You must be willing to face this pain and go through it. Once you do, it will never bother you again. Now, as A Course in Miracles states, the escape from darkness involves two stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. There is nothing that you want to hide, even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. A Course in Miracles goes further to say that perfect love casts out fear. If fear exists, then there is not perfect love, but only perfect love exists. And because only perfect love exists, if there is fear, it produces a state that does not exist. And that is why nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God, or the peace of the Creator, or the peace of the source of all that is and all that is not, as you wish to call it. A Course in Miracles further goes on to say that error cannot really threaten truth, which can always withstand it. Only the error is actually vulnerable. You are free to establish your kingdom where you see fit, but the right choice is inevitable if you remember that spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever.